Yeah, it is. RJ Clifford here for the Autumn Windbags. Let's have some fun today. Solo show. Haven't done one in a while. I've had a crazy travel schedule for work. I was in Vegas and then London and then Ohio and then bachelor party in Mexico and then Florida for work. I go to Vegas again Thursday night for work, but at least things are at least I'm staying within one state away, right? So a lot easier now, back to the normal swing of things, which is perfect timing because we've got the draft coming up 2 weeks. Things start kicking right. OTAs, the first round of OTAs started yesterday. So gave myself a little mini break from you guys, not a huge one, but a tiny one. And then now we're back. So here we go. First thing I want to get to is I spoke with Max Crosby on Saturday. So for those who don't know, I work for the UFC, and I was working the UFC 273 in Jacksonville. If you haven't seen it, it was awesome. Alexander Volkanovski destroyed the Korean Zombie. Aljamain Sterling just out-techniqued, out-game plan Petr Yan in a close one. Khamzat Chimaev, Gilbert Burns had a Fight of the Year candidate. If you didn't see it, I highly recommend checking it out. Even if you're not a fight fan, especially if you're not a fight fan, check it out because it'll make you one. But Max Crosby, our all-pro defensive end, huge UFC fan, giant UFC fan. Now, there's UFC fans that they'll show up when Conor McGregor fights. They'll show up when Brock Lesnar's there. There's hey, I want to be there when it's big. I want to be seen at the big fights. That's not Max Crosby. When the UFC does their tiny little Apex shows where there's 200 people, 300 people in the stands because it's not made for fans to be there, he's there. He's there every Saturday night for just random tiny fight nights, right? Max Crosby's a giant UFC fan. So he was in Jacksonville for visiting because his fiance's family's from Jacksonville. So he was out there for, mostly for them. But because the fights were in town, it's hey, perfect time, right? Perfect time to go visit the in-laws, right? When the UFC's in town. What a great no, babe. We're going to the UFC. We're going to Jacksonville to visit your family. It's not my trip, it's your trip. Oh, the UFC's in town? Oh, UFC 273 was this weekend? Oh, how convenient. All right, might as well go to the fight since we're here. He's no dummy. Max Crosby's no dummy. So he was there, and I got to chat with him briefly, 3 minutes. Shake his hand. First off, the guy is dripping. I think he had 5 platinum bracelets. And then, of course, he always got the medallion, the diamond encrusted medallion, right? Ever since he got that contract, I imagine, he was dripping before he got the big contract. Now, I mean, he was wearing as much jewelry as probably my house is worth here in Long Beach. Good for him. He earned every dime of it. But I asked him, I was like, hey, have you talked to Graham about the 3-4-4-3? That's a big thing that people are talking about. He's like, well, OTA. He's not going to go to OTAs until 2 weeks, right? So the very first round of it started yesterday, and we'll get to that in a second, showing the photos and stuff. He's not going to go for another 2 weeks, so I think he's still visiting his wife's family, doing some stuff. So the next round of OTAs is when he'll show up, and he's like, when we get there, that's when we'll talk about it some more, and we'll figure out exactly what we're going to do. And I asked him, I'm like, all right, well, in the three, do you think you're going to be an end? Do you think you're going to have your hand in the dirt? Do you think you'll be kind of more outside linebacker? And he said, and I which one do you want to do? He said, I want to do it all. He's like, I want to do every part of it. I'm down to go out in coverage. We joked about how in the Pro Bowl, he almost had an interception, had multiple passes batted down. I think him in coverage is really going to surprise a lot of quarterbacks. I think you get, obviously, right? Obviously, the main thing we want him to do is pin his ear back and go after the quarterback, right? That's the main thing we want him to do. And that still will be the main thing. And that's what he said. He said, look, on obvious passing downs, I want my hand in the dirt looking to crush QBs. That's what I want to do. He says, but he's like, I'm down to do everything. I'm down to be on 2 feet in coverage, playing outside linebacker, which was interesting to me because it shows me what a team player he is. Because if you're a defensive end, you're not going to get your big contract because you have 3 passes batted down, right? If you're a defensive end, you're not going to make the Pro Bowl because you got an interception, because you we're in coverage of a tight end, right? Like that's not going to get you where you want to go, right? Like Yannick Ngakoue is the opposite of that. Like he's the guy's like, look, I'm just going to go after the quarterback. I'm just going to be a guy that gets big sack numbers, and that's all I'm going to do. And I'm not going to do anything else. And it's made him a very wealthy man. And it's made him, it's also why he's bounced around from so many teams the last 3 seasons, right? 5 teams in 3 seasons, whatever the number it was. Because you can do that, right? Like if you're just a guy that just does one thing, but you do you do a lot of it. Like think of like Diggs on the Cowboys. All these interceptions, but he gets beat all the time, and he gets a ton of PIs, and he misses a lot of tackles. Like if you take away the interceptions, he's a terrible corner. But because he gets so many turnovers, and turnovers are so big, he's looked at this phenomenal player and this superstar, and he is in a lot of ways, right? And so that's kind of like what Yannick Ngakoue did at defensive end. Just get the quarterback, right? We had 10 sacks and only like 28 total tackles. Like that's crazy for how many snaps he had. My conversation with Max Crosby says he wants to be the opposite. And that's also a secondary bonus for guys getting big contracts. So like Max has been paid, right? Max has been paid. The last thing on his mind now is like, all right, let me make sure I get $150 million 4 seasons from now, the next contract, right? That's not what he's thinking. Guys that are worried about their job are thinking, all right, let me make sure I have 0 mistakes and look good, right? Let's make sure that I am looking great and I keep myself just where I specialize and make sure I get those stats, get those numbers, and get those looks on tape of me looking good. That's what you do when you're worried about your job. That's what you do when you're looking for a contract. You try to make sure you get big stat numbers, big interception numbers, big touchdowns, whatever. When you're Max Crosby, and A, you're a workhorse, B, you're a team player, and C, 1, 2, 3, ABC, 3, when you've gotten that giant contract, you don't worry about that. He's free to just be like, how can I make the team better? How can I help the team win? How can I maximize and have fun, right? So that's what he gets to do now that he's been paid. Is like, yeah, I'll play outside linebacker. I'll put my hand in the dirt. I'll go into coverage. I'll cover a tight end. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, even if it makes me maybe not look great, if I can throw off an offense with them saying, we don't know where the hell Max Crosby is going to be, right? You have no idea. If you're playing Yannick Ngakoue, you're worried about him because he's such a great edge rusher, but you know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to speed rush off the edge. That's it, right? If you're Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert and Russell Wilson, and you're looking at you're looking at Max Crosby, and you're like, what is he going to do? Is he going to bull rush that tackle and come after me? Is he going to spin move inside and come after me? Is he going to fall off and into the flat? Is he going to cover that tight end man to man? And it's Max freaking Crosby. It's like one of the best athletes on the field. If you can do that, you've really screwed up the head of the quarterback, right? You've really gotten in the head. You're really a pain in the ass of the offensive coordinator as they're trying to game plan for you. So, again, it was only like a 3-minute conversation I had with Max Crosby. Nice guy, dripping in jewelry. But it did kind of make me think a little bit about how, he's so down to just like try things where maybe he'll fail. Well, maybe he personally won't look amazing. But if it's what's best for the team and it gives him the best chance to win, he's 100% down. He's like, yeah, sign me the hell up. I'm ready to rock. It's like I said, voluntary workout started yesterday, and the Raiders Twitter account put out a little shot of him, right? So here's the guys, right? Chandler Jones, awesome. Great, wonderful, right? Derek Carr. I love how Derek Carr is there when it's still dark out. It's like, hey, make sure everyone knows I was here at 6 a.m. I want everyone to know I'm the hardest worker. But that's the beauty of Vegas. At 6 a.m., you can still wear flip-flops and a tank top, right? Ready to work. That's your leader, Derek Carr. First guy in the building. Now, this is the one that I like the most. Darren Waller. Remember the rumors last season, and they're still kind of going? Darren Waller, he's unhappy. Oh, no. He wants to trade. Oh, he's not liking what's going on with Derek Carr. He's disgruntled. He wants out of here. He's not happy. First day of voluntary workouts, he's there. Now, normally I don't overanalyze who's at OTAs and who isn't. Like everyone's there or not there for different reasons, right? It's generally like trying to say like guys that are there, it means something, and guys that aren't there, it means something. I don't want to overanalyze that, but this is one of the rare exceptions. If a guy that you're worried about that's going to hold out for a new contract, a guy that's upset, you think he's that guy, and those guys don't show up on the very first day of OTAs, right? If you're upset, you're disgruntled, you think there's going to be a holdout, you're not there, game face on, bag in hand. Look how early in the morning it is. This isn't afternoon. This isn't a guy that's going to be holding out. And I don't know where these rumors started or came from. Are we just bored? I know it was weird with his injuries. It was like a back, and then it was a leg, and then it was this, and then it was that, and it was kind of weird. I also think that's kind of just the Raider way to be very secretive. If the Raiders coaching staff to be secretive about injuries, they never want to give any opposition any piece of information at all. But there's no reason to think oh yeah, he's going to hold out. He's super pissed. I'm not buying that. And look, he's here. He's ready to go. I want to start with start on a third thing. I want to talk about Derek Carr because I feel like so many Raider fans are looking to 2016 and we're chasing the 2016 version of Derek Carr, right? Cooper, Crabtree, Jack Del Rio going for it on every fourth down. Carr bombing. He got third in MVP voting, 12-win season, and of course, broke his leg, etc. I feel like everyone is chasing that Derek Carr when Derek Carr's better now than he was then. And for all you people that hate Derek Carr and complain about Derek Carr, and certainly he's not perfect, right? I think Derek Carr should be our quarterback. I'll be the first one to point out his problems. Fumbles a lot. He gets sometimes too committed to his pre-snap reads, doesn't make adjustments. But he's a better quarterback now than he was in 2016. Absolutely, unquestionably a better quarterback than he was in 2016. Almost all the stats say so. Almost all the tape says so. I say almost because there's a couple things. But I don't remember a single person in Raider Nation complaining about Derek Carr in 2016, right? Because the team was winning. And so the quarterback, rightfully or wrongly, always gets the credit or the blame for the team's success or failures, right? So because the team's doing well, obviously it shined well on him. And he was playing great. Like I said, Cooper, Crabtree, it was awesome. Team was playing well. He was playing well. He's a better quarterback now. And his quarterback rating in 2016 was a 96.7. In 2019, it was 100.8. In 2020, it was 101.4. In 2016, he threw for 3,937 yards. He's thrown for over 4,000 the last 4 seasons all in a row. Now, he did have 28 touchdowns last season, or in 2016, and that was more than last season and the season before. And he had only 6 interceptions that season. So his touchdown to interception ratio was much better in 2016. Definitely. That's just true. He also had receivers built for that, and some other things. But you look at Derek Carr now. He moves around in the pocket better than he ever did. He's better pre-snap than he ever was. He's more aggressive and in a good way than he's ever been. And the whole point of what I'm going on this was a season which, again, we've talked about a million times. Everything went wrong. Lost Ruggs, lost Gruden, lost Waller for big stretches. All the drama that happened with the team, changing coaches, changing offensive coordinators, all that stuff. This next season, he's going to have Devontae Adams, hopefully an improved and healthy Darren Waller, a 1 season better Hunter Renfrow, hopefully a healthy Kenyon Drake, And that's a running back that Josh McDaniels loves. He loves pass catching running backs. So hopefully Kenyon Drake will get bigger and better. And then you got Josh McDaniels, one of the best offensive minds and easily one of the best play callers in football. Be ready for all you like Derek Carr fans who've got buddies that are Derek Carr haters. Get ready to just rub it in their faces. Be ready. I'm so poised to rub it in Soto's face this season because Derek Carr is going to go off. He's going to be Pro Bowl caliber numbers. He is going to go absolutely off this season in Josh Daniels' offense with Davante Adams and company. He is going to go bonkers. The 2007 New England Patriots was one of the greatest offenses we've seen in a long time. Josh McDaniels, of course, Tom Brady. And we've got basically the people in place that they had in New England, and I think it was again 2007. We got Hunter Renfrow as our Wes Welker. We got Davante Adams as our Randy Moss. We got a better tight end. And Derek Carr's not better than Tom Brady, but he's got the weapons and he's got the scheme. And the only thing we got to worry about really is making sure our line can handle it all. So be ready for Derek Carr to go off. Now, on the flip side, all the Derek Carr haters are going to say, he's got no excuse. He's got no excuse now. He better deliver because he's got everything going for him. No excuses anymore, which is such a shitty way to look at something. Like, oh, man, this guy's poised for success. Oh, well, then can't make any excuses. How about as a Raider fan, you're just happy for the possibility of success going our way? I don't know. Seems pretty fair. Seems like not a crazy thing to ask. Carr's got a lot going for him. And he's going to go off this season. I hope you're ready for it. One question from the comment section that I got from, I think, a video or two ago. CCFI Fresno, Jay Boscarillo. Interesting idea for the trade. My idea is to trade next year's first for a second and third this year and a third next year. So because we don't have a first or second this season, he wants to trade next season's first for a second and a third. He said, I think that balances what you want in prospects and depth versus the money paid towards the salary cap. So I like where his head is going. So instead of having a draft where we've only got 5 picks, we even have less if we trade up. I know the Athletic, they basically had it so we only had 2 picks because they traded 3 picks to move up to get a safety or something. So only 2 or 3 picks if there's a trade up. And so I get what Jay's saying. Hey, let's balance it out a little bit, right? Instead of having just like a dry nothing draft this season and a full draft next season, let's average it out. I like where his head's at, but I don't like it for these 2 drafts. So as Soto and I have talked about multiple times, this draft is deep, but it's not sexy. There's really no quarterbacks. There's no like awesome guys that are just like, all right, these are clear first round guys. These are clear second round guys. It's not that kind of draft. There's a ton of depth, specifically at wide receiver, lineman, but there isn't like guys that you're going to trade like multiple picks to move up in the first round to get your guy. There really aren't any guys like that. So this is, I don't know if it was on purpose by Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler that they orchestrated this out perfectly, where this is you almost always want to have high draft picks no matter what. But if you have to have no first or second round pick, this is the kind of draft to do it, because there aren't a ton of guys that you're like, oh, I got to have that guy up there and 7th overall. There really isn't. So I'm glad that they made this move now and traded the first and second for Davante Adams, because there isn't giant sexy guys at that point. You got to understand the whole idea of having a first round pick. It isn't free. You have to pay a first round pick X amount of dollars. It's the rookie pay scale has made it as such. So if you end up in a situation like we have with Clelin Ferrell, where we have to pay him millions of dollars, even though he's not worth it because he was drafted 4th overall, that's not a win for you. That's a bad allocation of assets. If you did get somebody that's worth it, right? Let's say you get, a starting quarterback or a starting wide receiver or a starting edge rusher, and like, okay, yeah, we'll pay this guy $8 million his 4th year, no problem, easy. That's when the rookie pay scale works for you. But if you don't think guys are worth that first round pick, you don't just, it sucks when you just have to take him and you have to end up paying him more than you want to. In this situation, we don't have to. All of our draft picks are going to be able to pay with like $2 million total for all of our draft picks because there's no first or second rounders. So I like the idea in theory, but I don't like it this time. I don't want to have to end up in a Clay Farrell situation where we're overpaying a dude only because he was drafted so high. All right, let's start taking some questions on you guys. What's up? Hello. All the regular stuff, the Illuminati necklace. Yeah, talking about Max Crosby. Just another DJ. Diggs' definition of high risk, high reward. Yeah, exactly. He's going to get you some turnovers. He's going to get you some interceptions. And because turnovers are so huge, depending on your type of defensive scheme, sometimes it's worth, hey, Diggs, he's going to let some guys breeze by him because he bit on a pump fake or a double move going for an interception. Guy gets ran by him and he gets a touchdown. In some defenses, they say, okay, we'll make that trade. We'll say, all right, it's worth sometimes. We don't want it to happen, but it's sometimes worth letting you blow a coverage because it's going to get us that same move will get us an interception next play or something like that. Definitely not a Gus Bradley style of defense like we had last year. Keep everything in front of you, play it safe. But some aggressive defenses like that. Poison University. Max can't not drop back and cover. Why? Why not? I mean, again, that's not going to be what he does every play. That's not going to be his MO. His main thing is going to be get the quarterback. But if you can keep a quarterback and an offensive coordinator not sure what they're going to do with Crosby, like if he drops back into the flat or drops back in coverage 5 or 6 times a game, that's enough that you have to start game planning for it. He's a handful, and this is only going to open up him as a pass rusher. If even if they're amazing, if they're Max Crosby good, Pro Bowl, phenomenal defensive end, even the very best guys, if you know exactly what they're going to do every play, you can game plan around it. Like just imagine this. Imagine a passing down, and you've got a left tackle who's struggling against Crosby, and the offense calls, hey, let's double team Max Crosby, right? Have the tackle on him. We'll get a tight end on him, maybe a running back and chip him. Like we're going to double coverage Max. We're going to really make sure Max doesn't beat us. And what does he do? Drops off into the flat instead. Now you've got 2 blockers not blocking anybody, and that leaves someone else open. So like, yeah, I don't want Max Crosby running DB drills in practice. I don't want him working on his back pedal, covering wide receivers. But a few 4 or 5 times a game, that's enough to get an offensive coordinator having a game plan around it. It's a war of attrition. It's a war of hours. It's a war of resources. And if you can make extra work for the opponent's offensive coordinator, great. I heard there was a good turnout. Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, we're getting the photos that say so. SenCal Grizzly Raider. Waller gave a short interview to a TMZ reporter and said he loves and likes playing with him. I assume Carr. Yeah. Again, like I don't know where this rumor came from that Waller's like just pissed off. Like I know we were all wondering why he missed 5 or 6 games, and obviously he's got new management and they're going to want more money. But this is like, and you're going to go from that to he's disgruntled, Mr. Team Player, a guy that's accomplished so much, and especially disgruntled with a guy like Derek Carr, who's love or hate Derek Carr as a fan. His teammates universally love him. That you can't argue with. Like he's universally beloved. He's the consummate leader. Also, Derek Carr has elite eyelashes. Yes, he does. I kind of like. He somehow got away from the whole like, does Derek Carr wear guy liner? Like that was a thing in like the mid 2010s. It disappeared for a while. I kind of want to bring it back. If Derek Carr really wanted to troll everybody, he should do like he should go as like a glam rocker for Halloween with a little guy liner just to kind of like remind people, like, remember when this was a thing? That's what I would do. But I like to troll more than Derek Carr because He's a professional NFL quarterback, and I'm a schlub here on YouTube. And these guys around, I'm going to make him a superstar. Yep, Carr. That's exactly my point. 2016, Carr was more willing to run with the ball compared to now. Carr now is still better. Yeah. So this is the thing with Derek Carr. He gets this injury prone. He got this injury prone like tag that people put on him. He's only missed like 3 starts his entire career. The last game of 2016, the playoff game of 2016, and was it 2017 when he broke his finger, missed a game? He's missed like less than 5. Like you can count on one hand how many starts he's missed. Now he does get hurt a lot. 2017 when he hurt his back and his finger, they had to like do everything out of shotgun. His back was all beat up. He pulled his groin the second to last game 2 seasons ago against the Chargers. So he gets hurt a lot, but he's such a fucking soldier that he muscles through it. And he plays poorly because he's hurt, but he's still there. For all the flack that Gruden gets, he did make Carr a better quarterback. He made Carr a better quarterback in a lot of ways. He made Carr smarter pre-snap. He made Carr more cognizant of moving around in the pocket, and he does that much better now. He's so much better moving around inside the pocket than he was before. Like he used to be just straight back pocket quarterback, maybe run if I have to, but he feels pressure better now. He's still not great at it, but he's much better than he used to. FAKC, Carr excuses. Oh, we didn't have an O-line. I can hear it now. I mean, as a Kansas City Chiefs fan, don't you want that to be the case? Don't you want Carr to fail because of the O-line? Why are you acting like that's a bad thing? Gun nerd. Carr haters act like Aaron Rodgers had Zay Jones and Brian Edwards when he won a Super Bowl. Thank you. Like, there's this idea that, oh, well, this quarterback can't succeed without help, or that quarterback can't succeed without help. You name me one quarterback who's won a Super Bowl who did it by himself, that didn't have all-star wide receivers, top 5 defense, all pros all along their offensive line, brilliant head coach or offensive coordinator. Yeah, no shit, Derek Carr needs help. Every single quarterback ever needs help. Tom Brady, the most stable franchise in football, arguably the best coach in football, the best tight end maybe ever in the history of football, Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Josh McDaniels calling the plays, a top 10, top 5 defense every single season. I don't hear anyone saying, well, Tom Brady needed all that help. He's really not the greatest. Every single quarterback who's won anything has needed a ton of help. Derek Carr's no different. I hate this idea. Well, Carr's got a low ceiling because he needs, X, Y, and Z to help him. Every freaking quarterback needs X, Y, and Z to help him. Everyone. Tom Brady was in the best situation. And yeah, and he's great too. I'll admit it, right? He's awesome. He's also surrounded by awesome. Joe Montana was awesome. He was surrounded by awesome. You got to throw to Jerry Rice. Steve Young got to throw to Jerry Rice. Every single quarterback who's won anything has had a ton of help around him, has been on a good team. Why are we acting like Carr sucks because he needs the same thing as everybody else? Mahomes is pretty mediocre for the first half of last season. Yeah, guys started playing too deep. The Chiefs are really the biggest question mark in the AFC West because they're still the Chiefs, right? And I said this in a past video. The 3 big things for sustained success in the NFL is good ownership, good coach, good quarterback, right? And the Chiefs still have all 3, right? They still have that owner. They still have Andy Reid. They still have Patrick Mahomes, right? The 3 main things to keep a franchise stable and continued success are those 3, and they still got them, right? But they're shedding contracts. Everyone's getting older. Defensive coordinators, I don't want to say they figured out Mahomes and Reid in the Chiefs last season, but they realized, too deep, you got to make some big adjustments if you're Andy Reid. And that's the thing with the AFC West. It's so good and it's the best division in football, but it's got massive question marks up and down the board. Talk about the Chiefs question marks. And then is Russell Wilson the guy? Like, is Russell Wilson still the 9-time Pro Bowler Russell Wilson, Super Bowl winning quarterback Russell Wilson? Is the Broncos defense without Fangio going to be as good? I don't think so. Are all these like weapons I keep hearing about on offense really truly weapons? I don't know. Again, I don't believe in the coach for the Chargers. I don't believe that at all. They're loading up because they got an all-pro quarterback on a rookie contract, and that's what you do. You got your window. And obviously the Raiders, they're still by all the betting sites, they're still like fourth out of 4 in the AFC West betting wise because a long history of not being good, but they're loaded now, right? Josh McDaniels, Ziegler, Adams, Chandler Jones, Carr 1 year better. There's a ton of question marks around the AFC West. It's unquestionably awesome in the best division in football. A lot of questions. A lot of there's not a lot of stability. Derek Carr numbers with Ruggs were pretty fucking good, and it seems as if no one brings that up. Remember and I get the exact number wrong, but it was something like in the first 9 games of the season, the Raiders were 6-0 when Carr threw for over 300 yards or 400 yards, and 0-3 when he didn't. It was like the Raiders literally could not win unless Carr balled out. And some people still try to blame that on Carr. They're like, oh, well, Carr could win the game for him. It's like, he's one of 53 players on a team. Like, he's literally the only guy that can win you this game. And then, yeah. And that's still a hole that's on offense, other than line, that's still really the only question mark. Who's our speedster? Who's going to take the top off the offense? God, that Ruggs thing is so tragic. Obviously, mostly because of the loss of life. And it was just bent over and smacked our offense. Exactly what we're lacking is exactly what he was and exactly what he was building up to be. All that investment of time, all for him to blow it. Grizzly Mahomes is top 3 quarterback. No worries here. Yeah, still top 3. Yeah. I agree. How much? But does he have everything around him that he needs now? And our guys kind of figuring him out more and more. We'll find out this season. Carr was an MVP frontrunner for more than half the season last year, even after losing Ruggs and Gruden and playing behind a bad O-line. Also, Waller missed a ton of games, and Jacobs was banged up. Yeah, Carr's only getting better and better. It's only getting better and better. He's better now than he was in 2016. And there wasn't one Raider fan that was complaining about Derek Carr in 2016. But because the teams were winning, he got all the credit and all the blame. Will the Raiders be a legit Super Bowl contender this season, RJ? Wow, going with the softballs early, are we? Okay, what makes a legitimate Super Bowl contender? What makes a legit Super Bowl contender? A couple things. Winning the division is no longer the issue, right? What was it? 2 4 seeds were in the Super Bowl last season, right? So you can come from a really, really tough division, not win it, and still go to the show, right? We saw it last season. It's really hard to say because the biggest part is momentum late. The Bengals weren't shit early last season, but they got momentum late. They kind of as a cohesive unit started to feel each other out. Jamar Chase got some of the rookie jitters out. Joe Burrow just kept improving. And their defense showed up when they needed to. And the line showed up when they needed to. The line on paper was terrible, but it was decent when it needed to be because they got momentum late. Think of the Super Bowl champions from the season before, the Bucs. They were 9-7. They weren't a great team. I know they whooped the Raiders' ass, but they weren't a great team during the season. But they got momentum late. And those are one of those things that are hard to predict because, like this thing of the Raiders last year, they got momentum late. 6-7, reeled off 4 straight wins, and were one terrible play call away from tying the Bengals in the wild card round because they got momentum late. This is what the Raiders have going for them when it comes to that. They've fallen apart the years before last season. Started hot, fell apart late. And former John Gruden players are rarely willing to bash him, but we had heard little peeps here and there of how hard he rode guys late in seasons. 17-game season's a long time, 18 weeks, and then playoffs, and then 4 preseason games and training camps and all that stuff beforehand. It'll wear guys out. And I think that's what happened with the late season collapses from the 2 seasons prior was John Gruden just riding the players, wearing them out. John Gruden has like a psycho's level of energy. Like he loves football more than I could ever love a woman. And that can drive you. That could keep you going. If you don't have that same level of psychopathic drive that John Gruden does, it'll wear on you physically and mentally, emotionally. So because Rich Bisaccia kind of felt that, he's more sensitive to players than John Gruden is, he kind of felt that and let the reins off a little bit. And that's why we got good momentum. The other part about this is late momentum is a lot about just kind of team cohesiveness. And that's what we found. That's what we caught lightning in a bottle last season. All the drama that happened, team cohesiveness can save a lot of that. You look at when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, was it 5 seasons ago now? Carson Wentz's last good season. Nick Foles took over when he got hurt, won the Super Bowl. You ask anybody around that team. You ask coaches, you ask players, you ask ex-players, you ask beat writers that were there, you ask broadcasters, you ask the ball boy. What was it about that season? And they'll all tell you they came together as a team. It's not like their receivers just got faster or their linebackers just got better at tackling. It's a true team sport. And they came together and were able to win a Super Bowl. Shockingly. Philly Eagles. The Raiders have that. The Raiders have that kind of team because of the personalities that are on it. All led by Derek Carr being the ultimate teammate. Darren Waller, that kind of guy. From all intents, all like accounts, Devontae Adams is that guy. Hunter Renfro's that guy. There's just so many guys that are like team. There's not a lot of shitheads, right? Antonio Brown's not there anymore. Right? There aren't a lot of shitheads on the Raiders. And I think if anything, long way about answering your question, will the Raiders be legit Super Bowl contenders this season? That element, if that can spark mid to late season next season, that's the Raiders' best shot at being potential Super Bowl contenders. The talent's there. The coaching staff's there. Now, there's, again, a lot of question marks in the AFC West. Can this offensive personnel pick up Josh McDaniels' system like that? It's a complicated system. Now, Carr is built for complicated systems. I'm not too worried about him. But can the receivers pick it up? Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow, again, really smart wide receivers. They should be able to, and Josh McDaniels is very demanding of his wide receivers mentally. I think they can pick it up. Devontae Adams, I assume he can handle it as well. But this is all assumptions. We're assuming that they can handle this brand new offense. And again, the defense, too. What's Graham going to do with this brand new with this defense? Is the personnel fit his scheme? Can he adjust his scheme enough to fit the personnel? There's a lot to like in the future on our defense, but can they all step up as, second, third year players? Again, long answer to short question. The biggest thing that the Raiders have going for them is the one we're not going to know about till like midseason. Can the team come together the way that the Bucks did late, the way the Eagles did late, the way the Bengals did late? That's the key. Team cohesiveness and momentum late in the season. Gun Nerd. Imagine for a second Kelsey didn't play 6 games. Tyreek Hill was in jail for killing a woman and her dog driving 156 miles an hour. Couple that with Andy Reid being fired for racist emails. What would Mahomes would do? What? Great point. Really great point. Like, what would happen? What would happen to the Chiefs at that point? Herbert won a playoff game last year and has a better upside than Carr. Herbert wasn't in the playoffs last year. Remember? The Raiders beat the Chargers in overtime, final game of the season, prime time, Sunday Night Football. Carlson, field goal to win it, sending the Raiders and the Steelers to the playoffs and the Chargers tail between their legs going home, early vacation. That's what happened, Hefe KC. That's what happened to Herbert. He didn't go to the playoffs because he lost to the Raiders in prime time. But I'm sure the comment section will do a good job of reminding you. Okay, just another DJ. RJ, what do you expect to see from a Josh McDaniels offense, and what do you not want to see? So this is the beauty of Josh McDaniels, is he's supposed to be a guy. Now, he's got his themes, he's got his tendencies like any offensive coordinator, but his big claim to fame is that he's super diverse. He can, John Gruden was like, John Gruden does a John Gruden offense. Nothing else. That's it. You either fit my scheme or you're gone, and I'm going to go find guys to replace you. That's John Gruden, right? Josh McDaniels is on paper exactly the opposite. So he does a lot of choice routes with his wide receivers, which again, Waller and Renfro, that's what they want to hear, right? Let me give Hunter Renfro a chance to outsmart a slot corner, and he's going to win that one, right? Getting a Mensa meeting with Hunter Renfro if you're a cornerback and see what happens, right? So you want that. A running back that can catch, big part of it as well. And just a super specific game plan to defenses. Like, that's honestly, I want Josh McDaniels to be Josh McDaniels. Change your game plan when you need to. He's got the right players for it. Went out and got Devontae Adams. That's what I want to see. What do I not want to see? I don't want to see a reliance on the O-line. If we're going to run the ball, let's make it clever. Let's make it tricky. Let's get these, because our O-line is young, right? They've got plenty of holes, plenty of faults, but they're young. They can move. They've got energy. Let's get them moving. I don't want to see smash mouth football, really. Brady never won a Super Bowl with a shitty defense. So I brought this up in the show multiple times, but and not counting last season, because this stat was brought up before last season. The 38 seasons that Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady were quarterbacks, right? They had a combined, again, before last season, they were combined 38 seasons in the NFL. The best defense that Derek Carr has ever had in his 8 seasons before last season was 20th in the NFL. His best defense, Derek Carr's best defense he ever played with, was 20th. And that was in 2016 when we won 12 games. His best defense was still worse than average. Best. Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady have never had a defense worse than 20th in 38 combined seasons. I'll repeat, just to drag this home. In 38 combined seasons, Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger's worst defense in 38 years was still better than Derek Carr's best defense in 8 years. That's the shit that Derek Carr's had to play with over the course of his 8 and now 9 seasons as an NFL quarterback. So don't tell me like, oh yeah, Tom Brady's a legend. He had everything going for him and he delivered. Like, yeah, he had everything going for him, and he delivered and more. So to compare, you just can't compare. It's crazy. Derek Carr's situation to Roethlisberger or Brady or these guys with all these great situations. You just can't. Carr haters act like Peyton Manning won Super Bowls by throwing to Corky from Life Goes On. A Corky reference from Life Goes On. Haven't seen one of those in a while. Another great example, Peyton Manning, when he won the Super Bowl with the Broncos, he was done. His body was shot. They had a run game and a defense. Everyone's like, yeah, Peyton Manning, 2 Super Bowl wins. That's what makes him special. It's like, no. What he did in the years he didn't win the Super Bowl with the Colts is what makes him special. He was dragging a terrible defense, and it's an atrocious defense, and just through his sheer will, him and Reggie Wayne were able to win games as in Indianapolis. And yet people say, well, he won 2 Super Bowls. That's what makes him great. It's like, no. The Broncos' run game and defense dragged the corpse of Peyton Manning to a Super Bowl in Denver, not the other way around. If we manage to bring in the Honey Badger and Calais Campbell, there's no way we aren't making it to the Super Bowl this season. That would be nice. Honey Badger would be perfect. Still out there. Him and Gilmore. I think PFF ranked their top 3 free agents. I think 2 was Gilmore, 3 was the Honey Badger, and they ranked like they mentioned like the guy like the team's most likely to get him. The Raiders were honorable mention for both. I don't know how we're going to afford them. That'd be awesome. T, how is it that it's widely accepted that great quarterbacks raise the level of play of the ones around them, but when Carr gives dudes career years, it's overlooked, i.e. Aguilar, Cooks, Crabtree, etc. You know why? Because the Raiders sucked during the Derek Carr years. That's why. People judge the quarterback by the success of the team. Seen it multiple times. Like those are 3 great examples. Aguilar, we get him for cheap because nobody wants him. Turn him into $22 million wide receiver for the Pats. Cooks goes to, was it the Saints? He was a Pro Bowler. Gruden doesn't want him. Does that. Crabtree revitalized his career. Speaking of Patrick Graham, how would you game plan to stop the Raiders offense, RJ? Well, I know Hefe KC is watching, so I don't want him to be feeding Andy Reid information. But we can address this. The confusing Carr is tough, but certainly possible. Getting turnovers, that's the key. Either sacking Derek Carr, causing a fumble, getting him to run, causing a fumble. Just blitzing Carr straight out is a bad idea. But confusing Derek Carr is possible, but difficult. So that's the 2 sides of the coin that you have to make a decision about. Gus Bradley got so much shit for running a very simple defense. Very simple, easy to game plan against, easy to scheme against. But his players rarely ever made giant critical errors because they weren't overthinking it. They're just playing football. Play center field. Get the quarterback. Shed a block, tackle the running back. That was it. Pop Warner, 9-year-old football. Fundamentals. And again, easy to scheme against. But if you don't make mistakes and you wait for the offense to make mistakes, you can do really well in this league. And it's a philosophy that works. Omar. Herbert had a better team. Give DC a top 15 defense. Dude, the Chargers are fucking stacked. The Chargers are the most talented team in the AFC West. Pure talent. They're the most talented team in the AFC West. And they got third in the division last year. Again, I think because of coaching. Talent has never been a problem for the Chargers. It's been coaching for decades now. Decades. That 14-2 squad under Schottenheimer that, lost first round of the playoffs and then Schottenheimer got canned. It's like they just can't get coaching under control. All those intangibles that made the Raiders special late last season are the opposite of the Chargers. Chargers have all the talent. They've got weapons. They've got a young quarterback. They got pass rushers. They got studs DB. Like they got talent, pure talent. They're up there with almost anybody. They just can't get it done between the years. They just don't have a coach that can put it all together for them. Honestly, Derek Carr is like the perfect guy to turn that the Chargers franchise around. Like he's like the perfect guy for it. Just because of his mind. And I'll admit, Herbert's a more talented quarterback than Derek Carr, for sure. But as far as like the intangibles of Carr and what he brings, watch. The Chargers are going to waste a golden opportunity. Mark my words. Chargers are going to blow this beautiful window of opportunity. They're in the best possible position. Him and the Bengals, right? Or Chargers and the Bengals. Rookie quarterback playing lights out on a rookie deal. Chargers are going to blow it again. If I recall, Tom Brady's lowest ranked Super Bowl winning defense was 13th. I'm too lazy to look that up, but that sounds about right. The worst defense that Tom Brady won a Super Bowl with was 13th. And normally it was top 10, sometimes top 5. But no. It's just because Tom Brady was so good. That's why. That's what it is. William Merchant, RJ, I think we are set on offense. Looks like the plan is to coach up someone to be right tackle. We still need a defensive tackle and linebacker. Who'd you want for these two positions in free agency? So I feel like the Raiders are done in free agency. We just did a video. I think it's like 2 or 3 videos ago. I highly recommend you check it out. And the question is Josh McDaniels happy with the Raiders roster currently? And I think he is. I think with who's available, how much they cost, what the roster looks like now. Now, would they like to improve, and will they still sign, some role players? Definitely, they're still going to sign some role players, right? We still obviously have the draft coming up. But I think Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler are content with the roster we have now. There's certainly needs. A giant speedster at wide receiver that we can count on would be nice. Help at offensive line would be nice. But again, I really feel like McDaniels thinks that our O-line, let them be young, be a cohesive unit, and stay together is the route to go, as opposed to just kind of plugging in guys that are maybe like 17% better than Leatherwood, but they're 30 and maybe they're just there for a season. The longer I watch O-lines, the more I feel like just cohesiveness and staying together and being healthy is more important than individual skills, because it's such a unit that needs to know each other well. Not getting injured and continuity is more important to me, and I think to McDaniels, than just individual studs. Now, of course, we want young studs. Absolutely. I think we're going to draft, multiple offensive linemen in this draft, even though we only have 5 picks. I think we're going to draft a lot of O-linemen. One, because it's the O-line heavy draft, and 2, I want these guys challenged. I don't want Leatherwood to just like coast into a starting job. I don't want John Simpson to just coast into a starting job. I don't want Brandon Parker coasting into a starting job. I want every single one of those positions challenged. Even Andre James. I think we should get a center to push James. I mean, he's paid like a starter, but I want him pushed. I want him challenged. The AFC West looks at the Chargers as that whiny, crybaby ass younger brother. Their Super Bowl appearance in '94 was cute. LOL. Yeah. They are kind of whiny. They are whiny. They are a whiny group. 1/3 of Adams' catches are quick throws from Rodgers, expecting Adams to make a play. Carr did the same with Crabtree. You can't fool a quarterback when a play like that is in the works. Yeah. The diversity. So there's certain guys, there's certain players you pick up, offense or defense, that you say, okay, maybe this guy isn't the best player in the world, but I can fit him into my scheme. That's the smart way to build a roster. I use an example all the time. The 49ers O-line is a bunch of small, mobile guys, which don't fit a lot of offenses. So their demand and their pay is lower than most because they don't fit every offense. If you're the best at everything, you demand $1 bajillion. But if you're just kind of good at this one thing and it fits the scheme, you can get that player for cheap and they'll play and do exactly what you want, right? That's normally what you want to do as a smart GM head coach. Devontae Adams throws all that out the window because he's great at everything. He's the best wide receiver in football. Now, he's not the best at every part of wide receiver, but he's the best overall wide receiver in football. And so you can do whatever you want with him. And that frees you up to have Waller be, a big fast target down the seam, or a big target that a linebacker can't cover. And Renfro can be his guy. Really, I wonder what this is going to mean for Bryan Edwards. Like, what's his role going to be now? Is he going to be like the one guy that's always going to be left open because everyone else is just blanketed? These are nice problems for Josh McDaniels to figure out. Omar, give DC Herbert's O-line and he's set. Yeah. That would be wonderful. We'll see what this O-line looks like. RJ, don't we get like $20 more million in salary cap after June 1st, not including a Carr extension, maybe restructure of a player or two? Yeah. So the post-June designation cuts. Yeah, that's like $20 million coming after June 1st. And so that's why I think the Carr extension is going to be done last. They're going to wait for that money to free up because Carr's not going anywhere, right? So you want to save the free agency money for free agency because that's cash you have on hand to go grab Adams or Rock Ya-Sin or Chandler Jones or whoever, right? You need that money on hand to get those guys. Carr's not going anywhere, so you can wait on that. So the money's out there, and again, I've been saying this for a long time. The Raiders are poised for continued success. So there's essentially three ways you build your team if you're smart. You're either completely rebuilding, right? Your team's terrible. All right, let's trade all our expensive old guys for draft picks. Let's get young dudes. Let's build from the ground up. Let's get a bunch of draft picks. You're rebuilding. On the other end of the spectrum is win now, like the Rams last season, right? Let's get in debt. Let's pay these huge contracts. Let's get some older guys that can still play great, but they're expensive. Let's risk the future for the now. Because if you win a Super Bowl, I don't care if that means you're in cap purgatory for 5 years. A Super Bowl is worth it, right? Do whatever it takes to get it. If you think you can win a Super Bowl now, you go all in now. And then there's the middle ground, which is best case scenario where you want to be. And that's continued success. And the Raiders are there. The Raiders have a roster that can win now, but they haven't forfeited their future cap. They haven't given away all their draft picks. I know that we don't have a 1 and 2 this year, but it's not like we gave away 3 number ones like some teams, right? And we've got a young core group of players, Trevon Moehrig, Nate Hobbs, Fine Diablo, a bunch of young guys that they're still on rookie deals that can get good and play well for us on cheap contracts. And the last group of guys, the Max Crosbys, the Hunter Renfros, they're now all starting to get paid. So what you do is it's a cyclical cycle, right? You've got old guys like, all right, we're going to have to get rid of these guys eventually. We got new guys that are filling up that spot. Certain guys get paid. Certain guys get cut. Hopefully, we draft well, and the process keeps going like this. Despite how bad we've been with first-round draft picks, we've been awesome mid-round. Last season and the season before. And the season before. Right? But back-to-back-to-back drafts where we were great mid-draft. And we just keep doing that. So, yes, can we put ourselves in debt? Can we get ourselves in future cap trouble and get Stephon Gilmore right this second? Maybe. Do we want to do that? Do we want to be a sacrifice the future to win now type of team? Or do we want to be a continued success team? That's a question for Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. And I think we should try to be a continued success team. Would you give up next year's number 1 for Quinnen Williams? Yeah, I would. The different draft classes matter so much more now. They mean so much more. Like number 1 picks, especially considering the Raiders, like I plan to be pretty good next season. We've improved every season since Gruden got here. And like I said, it's a good team that's getting better and built for continued success. So our first round picks are probably going to be in the 20s for a while, hopefully, right? That's the Rams' whole philosophy. Like you look at first round pick and everyone kind of gives it it's a first round pick. It's worth this much. The 3rd overall is worth so much more than the 28th overall. The 1st overall is worth so much more than the 5th overall. Because drafts are ran by quarterbacks. And if there's a good quarterback class like last one, then those first 5 picks are gold. Those first 5 picks this season, they haven't been worth less in years. Like this is the least value. Like this draft. It's the least valuable for a top 5 pick that I can remember. It's been years and years and years since a top 5 pick was worth this little. So these are all part of those things you got to think about. Like all right, am I giving him a number 1? Well, what do I think the next draft is like? And again, I'm hoping that Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, when they traded Devontae Adams in the first and second round pick for Adams, they're like, they knew that this draft, you know what? Adams is worth way more than that first or second round pick would have given us. Makes sense. All right, that's it for me. It's been an hour. Had a lot of fun as always. Soto and I will record the next big show tomorrow night, and it will air Thursday in podcast form and in YouTube form. We keep teasing new stuff that we're doing. I promise you it's in the works. We just haven't had a chance to do it yet. By the time the new season starts, we'll have some cool things for you guys to do. But yeah, a lot of Derek Carr stuff. Darren Waller, spoke to Max Crosby. Great time as always. And until next time, knock on wood if you're with me.